Hi! Hey guys, what's up? My name is Dom. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, I typically make bookish content, movie content, and anything else in between because I like to do whatever I want on this channel. And tonight, you could probably guess, we're doing bookish content because for today's video, I am going to deep clean, reorganize these shelves, unhaul some books. Girl, let me tell you. I'll like casually wipe my shelves, but I haven't truly deep cleaned them in forever. The last time I deep cleaned these shelves was never, because they're new. I bought them when I moved to Philly 2 years ago, and I haven't deep cleaned them since. I haven't reorganized anything. There's books on here I don't want anymore. So I'm here today in this Disney hat, this baby metal shirt I got at the concert, and my workout shorts that I don't even work out in, to clean these. And you guys are coming along for the ride. I have books on the floor already, because another thing about these shelves is I don't have space for all my books, so I bought some like organizers that can go under my couch. And I also need to change that battery. There's a lot going on, so why not do some spring cleaning in the middle of summer? I'm gonna warn y'all now, the end stages to these shelves are not gonna look a lot different than how they look now, because the way I organize my books is in the order I read them. So from the top, we start with 6th grade. We just make our way down. This shelf is about 7th grade. We got 8th grade to early high school here. I didn't read a lot in high school, so we quickly move on to college for the rest of these shelves. This is the order it goes in, and then we start entering like post-college from here. So if anything, you're just gonna see books like moved up a bit. Okay, I think that's all I have to say for this introduction. So I'm gonna zoom in, make my camera closer to each shelf. So right now I just need to decide what I'm going to listen to, and we'll go from there. Literal dust. I love this song.
For so long.
This is my favorite. shelf because this corner it's just a blanket. Baby metal.
Morning, everyone!
Back up. This is what can't fit. Okay. Who is this?
You understand?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the final product. Like I said, it looks the same. Just because I didn't want to break that organization level or stance, whatever you want to call it, organization thing that I do, because it just makes things a lot easier. I'm used to looking at my books this way because I always remember them by when I read it. And also when I get a new book, it's just easier to slide it at like in its next slot, you know, so I don't have to move things around. At the very top, which I did not clean because I can't really reach that even with my step stool, we just have a bunch of Funko Pops. We got Corpse Bride, we got Alice in Wonderland, which I bought while working at Disney World, Baby Yoda, Darth Maul, Sanderson Sisters. That is the Tokyo Ghoul box set. Behind them, we got Chewbacca on some Star Wars thing. And we also have Sam from Trick or Treat. He's just hidden because I have nowhere else to put him. So starting over there, we got Narnia, which I read in 4th grade. Then we make our way to 5th grade. These books I started rearranging because I had the same teacher for 5th and 6th grade, so like those years kind of meshed together. So I couldn't remember which order I read them in, but I kind of figured it out. But then we get to these books, which I for sure read in 6th grade. And then 7th grade, which is when you're about 12 in the United States. You're either 13 or 12 depending on when your birthday is. As you can see, my copies are very old. The first book, the pages are orange because they're so old. Someone very important to my life who is no longer here with us gave me those books, and she personalized them. I lost a lot of her stuff in my move to Philly because I put everything in one bag, and it's one of 2 bags I got lost in the move. So this is really all I have left of her. So I am keeping these books despite all the controversies right now because this person was a very near and dear person to me, and I still admittedly have not gotten over her death. So I will not be giving these away anytime soon. And then I do have the first 3 books in Italian. I have 2 copies of the Italian right here. First 3 books are in Italian. I actually bought these myself while I was in Florence, Italy. I did have plans to complete the series, but then all that stuff about J.K. Rowling came out, and since then I just do not want to give her more of my money. So like all of this, because Harry Potter was very important to me at one point, and I don't like want to pretend it wasn't. All of this was bought before all that started, but I have not spent money on that woman since. So you can kind of see like the tail end, because I do have the first Fantastic, I can't point correctly, I do have the first Fantastic Beasts books. Here we still got 7th grade onto 8th grade going on. So I read Twilight near the end of 7th grade because I remember it was a series I was reading when we were doing standardized testing, and I would finish before the class. We got Nancy Drew because I read that in the summer between 7th and 8th grade, so I was turning 13 that summer. Diary of Anne Frank is in the back. We have the Maximum Ride series, which I was reading in 8th grade, so when I was about 13 years old. We got the Night trilogy because I had to read Night in 8th grade. We got The Host by Stephanie Meyer. Then we have the beginnings of the Hunger Games because I read the first book the summer before high school. It was assigned reading, actually. And the Funko Pops on this shelf, we got 2 Stranger Things, we got the Kool-Aid Man, we got Avatar The Last Airbender characters, we got the Sour Patch Kid, and then we got Jonathan Taze, who used to be the captain of the Chicago Blackhawks, our hockey team, and then the mascot of the Chicago Blackhawks. His name was Tommy. Okay, next shelf. This is still high school. At this point, I cannot differentiate the years. We continue with the Hunger Games, Boy in Striped Pajamas. We got the Hush Hush series, throwback. A couple more books that are standalones. We have the Fallen series, which is another throwback. That I think I read junior year, so when I was 16. And then we got some standalones here. We got Water for Elephants, To Kill a Mockingbird, The Fault in Our Stars, The Book Thief, which is one of my favorite books of all time. I have a quote tattooed on me. We got Persepolis. I read this because they became banned books, and my school actually protested that, so that's what sparked me to read those. Then we got the beginnings over here of the Miss Peregrine series. Then as for Funko Pops, we got Ben Franklin, Carrie, Coraline, Mr. Rogers, and then all the other Avatar The Last Airbender Funko Pops that I have. I did off camera add Azula. She is my favorite character in the whole series, so she's like front and center. Okay, so God, this lighting is trash. But for this shelf, we are finishing out the Miss Peregrine series. Then we have the Ever Something series. I think they're called the Skin Jacker Trilogy. I read this near the end of high school, I want to say, because I remember a girl in my sophomore year English class recommended it to me, but it took me a couple years to finally get to it. We have my first ever Margaret Atwood book, which is The Blind Assassin, Pride and Prejudice, Just Mercy, which my university recommended. Now we're finally entering my college years. Most of these books are post high school because high school I wasn't reading as much, and then all the books I was reading prior to high school I ended up just not keeping for whatever reason. So we do have the Ugly series. I read that my first year of college. Then we got Percy Jackson, the 5 main books. Again, I read that my first year of college. The full collection of Edgar Allan Poe. I used to have another copy, but I didn't like it, so I bought a new one while I was in Salem. Complete collection of Emily Dickinson, As I Lie Dying, some nonfiction, Gone Girl, the Bambi duology, because I read that I think freshman year, my first year. And then Funko Pops, we got Felix the cat right there. He's an old school cartoon character. Deadpool's back there. At the top we got some Disney characters, Dumbo, Mickey Mouse, and what's her face, 22. This Mickey Mouse Funko Pop is going for like $50 on eBay, which is absolutely ridiculous because I bought it for $5. Then we have all my Star Wars Funko Pops. We got Luke, Han, Ahsoka, who's my favorite character, Rey, Kylo Ren, and then Supreme Leader Snoke. Ahsoka I added off camera. So now we're entering the end of freshman year, the beginning of sophomore year. We have House of Leaves over here because my creative writing teacher, my senior year of high school, was talking about this. And I finally read it, I think my freshman year. And then next to it is when we start going to my sophomore year of college. So year 2, I was 19. One of my favorites is The Kite Runner. That book I stayed up until like 6 in the morning to finish. And then we have the Mouse duology. We have the Robert Langdon series, which I was obsessed with in college. These two I stayed up until like 6, 7 in the morning to finish. This one I didn't like as much, and I remember I remember nothing from this one actually. This one was fun. This one was just okay. And I did read Les Mis. I read Les Miserables this summer between sophomore and junior year. This is my favorite musical of all time. The next set of books I read was A Series of Unfortunate Events, but I could not fit it. It was off by like this much, and I didn't want to risk it. I could have squished it, but I would have ruined the covers. So I did have to rearrange some things. I started, so I'm just going to point out to this because this is a companion novel. I started A Series of Unfortunate Events the summer between my second and third year of college, and I was halfway through my first semester of my third year when I did finish it. And of course I read the companion novels, Beatrice Letters, and whatever this is called. All the Light We Cannot See, which is one of the most beautifully, exquisitely written, character-driven stories I've ever read. Then we got The Night Circus, We Are the Ants, which I see like no one talking about anymore. I remember when it was super popular. And then we have A Thousand Splendid Suns, which is another great book, and I highly recommend not reading it in public because I did. I read it in a public study room, and a girl came up to me to ask if I was okay because I was crying. As for Funko Pops, this was the Disney shelf, but I needed somewhere to put Nosferatu. I added him off camera. So he's in front of my copy of Dracula. Next to him is Snow White because I think she's the first ever Disney princess. She needs more appreciation. I bought Mary Poppins when the second movie came out. Jack Skellington because The Nightmare Before Christmas is my favorite movie. Violet because this is around the time Incredibles 2 came out and she is my favorite character in those movies. And then Moana and her pig. No Funko Pops because my dog would knock them down if I put them on the bottom shelf, so it's empty of those. We do have A Series of Unfortunate Events all the way to the left. Some other notable books, The Divine Comedy by Dante. And where are we at right now with this? Because at one point I did go to New Zealand for my second semester of my third year. So I think that's when we're starting here, that second semester. Yeah, because I brought this book, Tom Sawyer, with me. And I also brought this one. My grandmother asked me to tell you she's sorry. This is my first ever Frederick Bachman book. Then between these two books and then Kindness of Ghosts and Peter Pan, that's when I started entering my senior year or my last year of college. So I would say it's the summer before because I did read War and Peace over that summer. But now you see Alice in Wonderland, so I have officially started my last year, and that's where all these books come from. Of Mice and Men fucking destroyed me. Some other notable books, we have The Jungle Book, All Quiet on the Western Front, The Hate You Give. This was really big around this time. Silence by Shushaku Endo, I highly recommend for anyone who wants to explore Catholicism, because this is about two Portuguese Jesuit priests who go to Japan, and the main question is, what would Jesus do? And I thought it was an excellent exploration of that. At the tippy top, we have two Funko Pop. One of them is the Hybrid Theory album cover, Hybrid Theory by Linkin Park. That's all the way in the back over there. This one, you can't really see it because of the glare, but it is Jack Skellington on his little car thing. This is going for $138 fucking on eBay. Guys, this I bought $20. That is insane, diabolical. All right, next shelf though, This is around the time where I have graduated college, but COVID hit. And I was working at Disney World. I've read maybe one book, so that's not really represented here because that is on my Kindle. Notable books, The Count of Monte Cristo. And then we do have The Hobbit and the first Lord of the Rings books. I still haven't continued the series. We got Stephen King's It. We have The Martian, The Little Prince. You can't really, it's that little blue thing right there. And then The Haunting of Hill House. And then these are all Nightmare Before Christmas. They were like special edition Funko Pops. Here we have a lot of manga shit going on. We got Uzumaki by Junji Ito. We have all of Death Note, including this companion book. Animal Farm called The Wild Cat Diary, which is a true story of Junji Ito's cats. And then Carrie by Stephen King. So because Carrie is on this, I think this is when I started my other job. I started my vet hospital job. So this is about, I want to say 2022 because I read, yes, because I went on a cruise in 2022 and I read Carrie in the airport. But the 3 Funko Pops are all Attack on Titan related. We got Levi Ackerman, Mikasa Ackerman, and Erwin Smith, who's one of 2 of my favorite characters. I read this the Christmas of 2022 because it's Letters from Father Christmas by Tolkien. Angela's Ashes, which was my first book of 2023. All the Demon Slayer volumes, because I read that entire series in 2023, and I put the companion novels next to it. And then we start seeing the companion novels for Tokyo Ghoul. For Funko Pops, we got the Demon Slayer characters, Tanjiro, Nezuko, and Gyu Tomioka, who's one of my favorites. And then up there, can I really say what his name is? He's a character introduced in the beginning of the series, but he has a transformation near the beginning of the second part. But he is part of Tokyo Ghoul, because I have 2 Tokyo Ghoul Funko Pops, neither of which are Kaneki, which, whatever, but he is there. He's there. Alright, so we are continuing Tokyo Ghoul on the left. We got Phantom of the Opera. Here, I think we are still in 2023 here, because that's when I read Gone with the Wind. Notable books, we got Phantom of the Opera, Their Eyes Were Watching God, Paradise Lost, Gone with the Wind, The Only Good Indians, which was one of my favorite books of that year. And then we enter the books I read for school. So I know you guys saw me in the video rearranging these books, because at first they weren't going to be there. But they're just all sorts of different sizes, so that's why I was worried to put them in this like organizer I got, just because I'm stacking them one on top of the other. And you know, I don't want a tiny book to be the bottom of the stack of all these big books. So that's just how it made sense in my brain, but they are in the order I read them. As for Funko Pops though, before I do that, we got Suzuya, Tokyo Ghoul, Wednesday Addams, and Tomie from the Junji Ito story. Alright, but my freshman year, I read The Odyssey, The Secret Life of Bees, A Midsummer Night's Dream, Fahrenheit 451, and Things Fall Apart. Catcher in the Rye, I had to read for summer reading my sophomore year, so I read it that summer between freshman and sophomore year. Then sophomore year begins, and I read The Crucible, The Scarlet Letter, Narrative Life of Frederick Douglass, Ethan Frome, The Great Gatsby, as you can see my copy's falling apart, and then A Raisin in the Sun. Then we enter junior year, which is year 3. You can see the book there because the copy sucks. For summer reading, I had to read Hard Times by Charles Dickens. We all hated it. The common joke was that hard times is giving us a hard time. In this shelf, we continue school. I forgot to put Tomie away. So junior year, my 3rd year still starts here. I read Frankenstein, Macbeth, A Room of One's Own, and 1984. And then we enter my last year of high school, my senior year. I had to read Jane Eyre. It's here because again, the copy fucking sucks. We had to read 2 books that year for summer. So I also read The Sun Also Rises by Ernest Hemingway. Then the school year actually starts. We read The Song of Solomon, King Lear. Is this book upside down? It sure is. Holy shit. Crime and Punishment, and then One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And then I start college. This is kind of like a mix of things because I didn't have to read something for every class. My first semester I basically took Italian 5 because I took 4 years of Italian in high school, so they just moved me up and we had to read this book, which is just short stories. Then my second year of college, again for my Italian major, I had to read a bunch of books about Italian politics or that dealt with them. So I have The Leopard, Survival in Auschwitz, The Moro Affair, and I Was an Elephant Salesman. Then my first semester of junior year, year 3, I took a Hans Christian Andersen class, so I have his complete tales. I needed one more class, then I had the Italian major, so I took a Machiavelli class, which was so fucking boring. But there's a couple books here. We have a Selected Political Writings, which includes The Prince, and then we have a play he wrote, the Madrigola, something like like that. It's not on the spine, so I can't remember off the top of my head. But then we have The Death and Life of the Great Lakes. This was recommended to us by the university itself because every year they had something called like Go Big Read, Go Big Read, and they'd recommend the book. And then my last semester of college, I took a Holocaust class, and we read a few books for that, but a few of those books I had actually already read on during my free time. For example, The Book Thief and Mouse. But the two new books I had to read for that class are Ordinary Men, and just this one explores like whether Nazism, if you're born, essentially if you're born a Nazi or if you can become one, like how much conditioning is involved. And then a fiction book called This Way for the Gas, Ladies and Gentlemen. And as for Funko Pops, because I had nowhere else to put these, we got Louise from Bob's Burgers, Sylvester and Tweety Bird, and then Gollum from Lord of the Rings. Alright, and this is my Avatar shelf. If you are new here, Avatar The Last Airbender has been my favorite show since I was 12 years old. These are here because these comic books are super heavy, and this shelf specifically is super unstable, especially compared to my other one. So something very heavy needed to be at the bottom. So I chose these. I wish it was longer because then I could put the Yang Chen books here, and Avatar's coming out with so much material, I'm going to need more room. But this, just given the space I have now, this is what works. So first, these are all the comic books that take place immediately after the show. We have The Promise, The Surge, The Rift, Smoke and Shadow, North and South, Imbalance, and then this is a bunch of short stories by different types of people, so you're going to see all different types of art. And then these are all like the solo comics. So Katara's solo comic is in there, Toph's, Suki's, Azula's, and then the last one that I read this year is Uncle Iroh's and June's. And then we have these books, which are just a bunch of letters. So Legacy is a bunch of letters from Aang written to his son Tenzin. And then this one is a bunch of letters from Uncle Iroh to Zuko. I moved this over a bit so you can see more, but this comic is for Legend of Korra. This is the sequel show to Avatar The Last Airbender. And then we have the Kyoshi novels here. And last but not least, we have these. These are in an organizer that I bought. I was hoping it would be more sturdier than this, but this is what I get because I should have expected this because it was $19 for 6. All these books were read near the end of 2023 up until recent in 2025. At the bottom there is Tomie, Arabian Nights, Homegoing at the top, and then in the next pile, Beloved is down there, and then the Spy X Family manga. And then the next pile, I don't really know off the top of my head. I know The Secret Magdalene is down there, and I loved that book. That was one of my favorite books of last year. But obviously at the top we have Modern Masters of Horror, which I read this year. I haven't read a lot of physical books this year, so that's why the 2025 pile is so low. But at the bottom of said pile, we have The Nightingale. On top of that is the first 2 volumes of Jujutsu Kaisen, and then The Dawn of Yang Chen, which is the last physical book I read, and I'm currently reading the sequel. And that is my very, very tiny unhaul pile. I was hoping I would unhaul more books, but it is what it is. But that is it for this video. If you made it this far, thank you so much, because this took me forever. I started everything at 4 p.m. and it's currently 9 o'clock. The bookshelf itself, these took me like 2.5 hours, but then the camera died. So I was just sitting around on my phone, and rather than like reading or doing something productive, you know, because why would I do anything but doom scrolling nowadays? So I'm gonna make some dinner and watch Mean Streets by Martin Scorsese. So let me know your thoughts down below. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up, comment, subscribe. Y'all know the drill, and without further ado, I'm gonna peace out and I'll see you guys later. Ciao tutti.